Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I am back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder. Still using the same team with Mega Metagross. I still want to flesh that out a bit more with Thundurus, Bisharp, Sylveon, Hydreigon, Landorus. We're going to find an opponent immediately, 1742 from Japan, and we are going to go into team preview. Opponent's got a team of Cresselia, Heatran, Landorus, Sylveon, Kangaskhan, and Rotom Wash. That's almost as standard as it gets basically for VGC 15 as of right now. Mega obviously is Kangaskhan. Heatran does cause a lot of issues. And I do have Hydreigon, but I don't think I have Earth Power on this Hydreigon. I don't, so I'm going to want to fix that for the future. That's a good thing to know that I don't have Earth Power, but let's see. For leads, he's probably going to go with Kangaskhan's definitely a safe lead for him. It's probably something like Kangaskhan Sylveon or Kangaskhan Landorus. I think Hydreigon here is a... I don't want Hydreigon in case he does lead with the Sylveon, so... You know what, I'm going to go with Metagross. That's a pretty good one, so I can Mega Evolve right away, get the speed boost, etc. Metagross, and... I think Sylveon. Or Landorus. No, I'm going to keep Landorus in the back. Thundurus here doesn't help me out with damage output, so I'm going to keep that on the bench. Now it's between Bisharp and Hydreigon for the last one. But I already have steel coverage from the Metagross, so I'm thinking Hydreigon might be better for the dark type, and because I can outspeed everything. So I'm going to go with, yeah. Oops. I'm going to go with the Hydreigon here, and I'm going to lock in. So Metagross, Sylveon, Landorus, T, and Hydreigon. This should be interesting. And we'll see what he decides to go with. But yeah, these are kind of teams that have been semi-standard as of right now in VGC 15. Just, you know, Kangaskhan, Rotom Wash, Landorus. Heatran is one that we don't see as often, but it is one of the best checks to Sylveon out there. So we'll see if he actually leads it here or not. He's going to bring Kangaskhan and Sylveon. So I'm glad I didn't lead with Hydreigon, because I knew that was a potential lead he would have. So, let's see. I'm going to Mega Evolve here. He's definitely got to fake out the Metagross, otherwise he's in for a lot of trouble. So I'm going to protect Metagross' first turn, and just go for a Hyper Voice to get some damage off. Ideally, this is going to allow me to hit the Kangaskhan next turn for a KO with Meteor Mash. But who knows, maybe he won't fake out Metagross. I mean, the safe play for him is to fake out that and just go for a Hyper Voice, but he might actually decide to switch out. For example, switching to Heatran would be a solid play on his end too. But he's going to stay in with both, so that's good. Because it means Kangaskhan's going to be slower than Metagross now that we're both Mega Evolving. And of course, I am running max speed Metagross, Mega Metagross. But the real question is whether Kangaskhan went for the fake out here, or maybe he went for a double edge / return onto the Sylveon. I can take a return, but not a double edge. So I'm going to protect here. We'll see if he does go for the fake out play. I'd be surprised if he didn't, seeing how he didn't switch out. And he does fake out into Metagross, so I do call that correctly, as Sylveon is able to get a Hyper Voice off here. And that does a lot of damage, so I'm pleased. As his Sylveon... Yeah, it looks like a battle of Spec Sylveon here. And quite honestly, I can just go for the Meteor Mash here onto Metagross and the Hyper Voice. And I'm fine if he goes for a Sucker Punch. Though I'm thinking maybe I should have Meteor Mash Sylveon instead, but he's actually going to switch that out, so that's fine. What comes in though? Probably Heatran. Yep, that is going to be Heatran. Let's see what Kang goes for. Yeah, he does go for the Sucker Punch. So I probably could have played that a bit better and protected Metagross instead, knowing that Hyper Voice would KO. But I decided to just go for the more higher damage output. But I'm going to connect with Meteor Mash here, which is nice. And it picks up the KO. So quickly going up 4-3, but... obviously, him bringing in Heatran is huge in terms of momentum, as Hyper Voice barely dents it there. And he is Leftovers, so good to know the item there. Leftovers is one of the more common items. People like to really run bulky Heatran, so that's one of the more common ones. It looks like Rotom's coming in here. That's definitely a threat to go up against. So this is slightly problematic in the sense that... I think I'm going to protect here to scout out or bait the protect out from Rotom and go for a Hyper Voice. If I were him, I'd protect Rotom and Heat Wave with Heatran. Sylveon is relatively specially bulky as well. Oh, he just goes for the Hydro Pump actually. Onto Sylveon. Will it take it? Hangs on with 31 HP, but he also goes for the Heat Wave. Oh, Sylveon actually avoids that, which is fortunate there, of course. As I do get a huge amount of damage off against the Rotom there with Hyper Voice. So that was great. Lucky Heat Wave missed there. I really thought he'd be protecting Rotom, but I guess he read into that. So now I can just Zen Headbutt the Rotom. I'm thinking of switching Sylveon out into Hydreigon. Yeah. That way I can have a safe switch in. And I did outspeed a Sylveon earlier on, so if it comes down to a Sylveon versus Sylveon matchup, mine should outspeed his. So I'm going to bring in Hydreigon. And having Landorus T in the back is really good. Oh, he's not even going to protect with Rotom. He's going to allow me to get the Zen Headbutt off. How much damage will it do? Picks up the knockout. Excellent. That should be enough for Landorus T to just come in and seal up the game, actually. He does connect with Heat Wave, but that's fine. Landorus T in the back here can just Earthquake now. So, excellent turn there. And there's really not much my opponent can even do at this rate. I am going to remember to get Earth Power on this Hydreigon because, obviously, it makes my Heatran matchups a bit better, but that couldn't have played out any more perfectly. And I was expecting Rotom Wash to be protecting, knowing that Metagross would outspeed it, but I guess he just didn't bother going for it. And now he's obviously in a terrible position. I can just go for the safe Earthquake with Landorus T. And yeah, there's really not much. I've got Sylvan in the back. You know what? Just to make sure I'm going to go for the Hyper Beam here onto Sylveon just to make sure I pick up the KO. And that is the last move I'm running over the Earth Power on Hydreigon. So let's see how much damage it does here. Perfect. I didn't want to... actually, since he had the Citrus Berry with Rotom Wash, there really wasn't much I was even afraid of, I guess. But I'm going to pick up the KO there onto Sylveon. And now Landorus is just free to Earthquake the Heatran for a KO. And yeah, that should definitely seal up the game. And there really wasn't much he could have done, but fortunately enough, I put myself in a position where everything would work out, and my opponent's going to forfeit there, so managed to take a pretty quick first game win there, but Hyper Beam Hydreigon and Landorus T really sealing the deal there, but Metagross being able to outspeed everything definitely helped out a lot as well. And I think this game kind of showcases where you have to lead perfectly, or not lead perfectly, but try to predict your opponent's lead. For example, had I led with Hydreigon, I would have been in a terrible position to the point where it would have been very difficult to even try to come back. So if you are using Pokemon that are, you know, countered by other Pokemon, you got to make sure to play safely. And in this case, not leading with Hydreigon was big. I was considering leading with it because, of course, it was Scarfed and it gave the rest of his team trouble, but I ended up paying off. Second opponent of the day, 1739 from Japan. It's got a team of Entei, Sylveon, Rotom Wash, Landorus, Gengar, and Kangaskhan. So we just saw a lot of these Pokemon, obviously, from the last game with Kangaskhan, Rotom, and Sylveon. But this time, it's got an Entei, which is a familiar face since it was featured on Road to Rank just a couple of days ago and gave me a real scare. His own Landorus T, which was on my opponent's team the last game, and Gengar, which is one of the scarier Pokemon. But Metagross here is going to be huge. It outspeeds his entire team, which is really good. So I'm definitely going to want to bring that in for the late game because they can basically seal things up for me. Sylveon is actually not a terrible lead, despite the fact he's got two Pokemon that resist my Fairy-type attacks. It's kind of good just for damage output. Hydreigon here is really good, too, to outspeed his entire team. Once again, Hydreigon and Metagross, you know, are able to outspeed his team, so speed is really the name of the game. It's going to help out here. Probably not going to want to bring Landorus, but the thing is, if I don't bring Landorus, otherwise the Entei gives me a lot of trouble, so... decisions. I'm thinking of leading with Sylveon and Landorus T, though that makes my Rotom Wash matchup quite awful. I'm leaning towards leading with Sylveon, though. And I would go with Hydreigon, but like the last game, I don't want to walk into him leading with Sylveon. Maybe I'll actually go with Bisharp. Or Metagross, just so I can... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go Metagross so I can just Mega Evolve right away and outspeed everything. Definitely going to want Hydreigon in the back. And the last one, you know what? I'm going to go with Landorus. I need to make sure I can take care of the Entei, and even Rock Slides do a good amount of damage against it. So, this should be interesting. Faced the very intense Entei match the other day, so we'll see if my opponent's Entei is going to give me as much trouble this time around. But this should be an exciting battle. Gengar and Entei are some of the more interesting Pokemon in 15. Gengar gets access to a lot of attacks, especially Icy Wind, but I'm going to go Sylveon Metagross. He's going to go with Rotom Wash and Entei, I think. Yep. So that's a better matchup for my opponent in terms of what he's got, but not the worst here. I'm definitely gonna Hyper Voice, and I think I'm just gonna Protect here with Metagross. I'm gonna Mega Evolve so I can outspeed my opponent in the remainder of the game. Though the decision to Mega Evolve Metagross is an interesting one because now I am vulnerable to Intimidate, so if he has Landorus T, he can Intimidate me, but I decided I do want the speed boost so I can outspeed Gengar and Kangaskhan for the remainder of the match. He protects with Entei, which is great, but I'm thinking we might see a Protect from Rotom Wash as well. Oh, he goes for the Will-O-Wisp onto Sylveon. Okay. So, nice play on my opponent there, expecting to Protect from Metagross, but curious decision to protect Entei there, knowing that I could just... Knowing that I would probably protect Metagross, so I get a free Hyper Voice off there for some burn damage, and that's a trade I'm obviously willing to make. So I'm going to go for another Hyper Voice here, and I'm going to switch into the Hydreigon in the back, because Hydreigon puts me in a really good position, based off where I am right now. So, I'm hoping to get Hydreigon in, get another Hyper Voice off, which should do a lot of damage to both of its Pokemon, and the following turn Hydreigon can just either Draco Meteor or Dark Pulse, and I don't want this Metagross getting burned just yet, because it's kind of essential to this matchup. So I'm going to bring in my shiny Hydreigon, as he goes for the Sacred Fire onto Hydreigon. Hydreigon actually avoids that. He goes for the T-Bolt onto Hydreigon as well, so obviously wanting to KO the Metagross there. Oh, but he paralyzes me. That's unfortunate. I much would have rather have him hit the Sacred Fire. So that obviously stinks. I actually barely miss out the knockout on Rotom Wash. That I don't mind as much. But him paralyzing Hydreigon really stinks, especially because I'm Scarfed. But I'm just going to Hyper Voice and Draco Meteor here. Even the paralysis obviously sets me back, but it's still not terrible. I just really think had he not paralyzed me there, Scarf Hydreigon really gives his team trouble. He goes for the Stone Edge here onto Sylveon, not wanting to miss, but Hydro Pump here is also going to connect, but I don't think he'll KO. Yeah, you see the bulk of Sylveon really coming through here, as I am able to get another Hyper Voice off. I'm really hoping Draco Meteor can connect here, because it should allow me to pick up 2 KOs. Oh, but it's fully paralyzed. Come on. So paralysis and a full para to really set me back. That's going to make this game infinitely harder to win. Obviously, I'm not happy about that. He's probably going to bring in Kangaskhan here. It looks like Sylveon's coming out, actually. Which I don't mind too much, but man, am I frustrated. Yeah, I'm just going to go for another Hyper Voice, and I think I'm going to have to sacrifice both of my Pokemon here. I don't really have any great switch-ins, but that's fine. I can't tell you how frustrated I am that Hydreigon got paralyzed there. He actually goes for the Quick Attack onto Sylveon. Very questionable play. As the rest comes out from Entei. Okay, really pulling out all the moves now. So I'm guessing that's Chesto Berry rest. I guess we'll see. Yep, he does get the Chesto Berry, so that's a cool item to see. Hydreigon does connect with Draco here, which is at least nice. Finally able to get some damage off, but let's see how much this does. Woof! Oh, with the crit there. Doesn't knock it out, but does a very good amount. As now I can bring in... I'm going to bring in Landorus. Yeah, that's going to intimidate his... And... let's see. So the issue here is I can't Earthquake freely because I've got Metagross in the back. So I might actually have to Rock Slide, and I think I'm gonna Rock Slide here and switch out Metagross or Hydreigon into Metagross. Yeah, I'm gonna go for that play. Mainly because I want to have another switch in for the remainder of the game. Let's see what he goes for. Protect with the Entei, that's good because I'll be able to outspeed him next turn. I do outspeed the Sylveon here, which is nice. A flinch here would be awesome. As he just gets a Hyper Voice off, okay. But it's not going to be Spec, so it shouldn't do that much damage, but you see how powerful Sylveon really is. Now, unfortunately, I think Entei might actually be able to outspeed Landorus here. Actually, it really depends on how much investment he's running. So let's see. I'm actually currently checking Entei's base speed, mainly because it's been a very long time since I faced Entei. It is 100 though, so I'm probably going to just want to target it with Metagross here to make the safer play. So I'm going to Rock Slide. I'm very tempted to actually Ice Punch, but I'm not sure if it can KO. So I'm just going to go for the Zen Headbutt onto Entei instead. And he's actually going to withdraw the Sylveon into Kangaskhan. So that's going to allow me to get free damage off, which I'm happy about. Zen Headbutt. Yes, connects with the Entei. That's huge. So I'm going to pick up the knockout there and get a free Choice Band Rock Slide single target against this Kangaskhan, which isn't even Mega Evolved. And it hits, which is huge. So that's excellent. Now I can switch back into Hydreigon, allowing me to switch back into Landorus eventually to get the another Intimidate boost. But I don't... If he gets a Power-Up Punch off, that would be really bad. That's the one thing I'm really concerned about right now. If he decides to Power-Up Punch instead of, say, Sucker Punch. You know, I'm just going to Rock Slide and Meteor Mash the Sylveon, yeah. He's probably... If he doesn't go for Fake Out and onto Metagross and Hyper Voice, the game's basically over. There's nothing else he can do. But even if he does go for that play, I still have the chance of flinching him. I won't take too much damage, and I can safely switch Landorus in and out. So I'm definitely in a better position right now, but Sucker Punch on Kang is always really annoying to deal with. Now let's see if he has Fake Out or not. Oh, he just goes for Sucker Punch immediately. I don't think this will... Oh, wow. Targets Landorus. Perfect. Oh, maybe we'll see a Quick Attack come out as well. But nope. He just allows me to get the Meteor Mash off. That should KO Sylveon, as it does. And Landorus here can just get a Rock Slide off. And that should be game, actually. Rock Slide does connect. That's big. That's really good, obviously. Another single target Rock Slide coming out there. I'm just going to play it safe here. I'm just going to Rock Slide once again and go for the Ice Punch, which is, of course, 100% accurate. He is going to go for the Sucker Punch onto Metagross. I don't think this would have KO'd. Yeah, Metagross would have been able to hang on, though barely there. As I'm going to go for the 100% accurate Ice Punch. See if it knocks it out. And it picks up the KO with a critical hit. So I'm going to be able to escape this second game with a 3-0 win, despite a very, very scary start to the game after he was able to paralyze my Hydreigon with the Thunderbolt. But I am able to win, so that was definitely a exciting 2 battles today against 2 relatively standard teams, but Scarf Hydreigon and Mega Metagross are really, really great, actually, checks to most of the meta, because you can outspeed almost everything with that. So those 2 really coming through in today's episode, and I'm happy. So with that, my rating should be in the 1820s-ish, which is nice because, of course, we're trying to climb into the 1900s, but... I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, peace.